What am I doing now? I often ask myself, as do many of my friends and family. I'm standing here in a field alongside a well-known landmark. It's covered in rain. Look at that, over my lens. And I'm up doing this, Corfe Castle. I'm here in the glorious sunshine to come and see the launch of a model of something rather lovely, of this. What a lovely thing that is. That is of course the London and South Western Railway Adams designed Class T3, a 4-foot locomotive, which has been restored by the flour mill for the team down here in Swanage, and now lives down here in Swanage for the Swanage Locomotive Trust. Now, the reason I'm here in this field is because just earlier on today, this morning in fact, 11 o'clock, it was announced that there is a model being produced by Bachmann Industries Europe in conjunction with the team at the Kernow Model Railway Centre, who have model shops in Cornwall and indeed Guildford now, doing very well indeed. And this is what happened earlier on today with Graham Muspratt of Kernow Model Rail Centre. Graham announcing exactly what the model looks like and when it'll be available. Over to Graham on Swanage Station at 11 o'clock this morning.
I'm going to hand over to Graham Muspratt, who is a lifelong Southern Railway fan, might give you a hint. And Graham will tell us all about the new EFE Rail LSWR T3 locomotive.
You're not happy. So, a much requested model. You'll get the chance to ride behind the real T3 563 later on today. So, a little bit of background to the T3 class. It was a class of 20 locomotives built between 1892 and 1893. And the T3 class was effectively a development of his earlier X2 class with smaller driving wheels, a longer smoke box, targeting ideally the services on the undulating line west of Salisbury. But actually the T3 could be seen all over the London South Western network. They worked out of sheds on the Bournemouth line as well as the West of England line, and actually did run into Swanage here as well. So we've produced this model under the EFE Rail brand, and the tooling suite enables us to cover a number of variations on the model. So you've got the as-built William Adams design with a tender with no coal rails and different toolbox combinations. And then Drummond later on, when Drummond took over as CME, he actually fitted one of the T3s with a Drummond style boiler. So you've got a Drummond boiler identifiable by the safety valves being on top of the dome. There was only actually one T3 Drummond boiler, so it was actually carried by two locomotives throughout their career. So 558 and 568 both carried the same Drummond boiler at different times in their career. And also the elegant Adams stovepipe chimney was replaced with one of Drummond's standard flare top type chimneys. Electrification on the Southern Railway network in the early 1930s meant that there was then a surplus of this type of light passenger locomotive on the books. And so by 1933, all but three of the class were withdrawn, with the third The third member of that surviving group of 3 was withdrawn in 1936, and the last 2 managed to survive into World War II, and that was numbers 571 and 563. 571 was withdrawn and put into storage in 1942, and 563 survived another couple of years into 1945 before being withdrawn and stored. At one stage there was going to be a railway museum at Eastleigh in the old paint shop, and a number of locomotives was stored there in readiness for that museum to open. But World War II got in the way, and some of those locomotives ended up going towards the war effort. 1948 was the centenary of Waterloo railway station, and it was decided to hold an event in June and July of that year. And a representative of the London South Western Railway locomotive design was wanted, and they looked at 571 and 563, and 571 had had some damage whilst it was in storage, so they chose 563 to represent the London South Western Railway at that event in Waterloo. And the locomotive steamed for her very last time on the 14th of June 1943. She steamed into Waterloo station. Her firebox was pretty ropey condition, so they only allowed her to steam at 60 psi. And it wasn't until 2017 when her ownership was transferred quite bravely from the National Railway Museum to the Swanage Locomotive Trust here, the 563 locomotive group, and they then restored her to the condition that you'll be seeing in her later on today. And that restoration has included a brand new copper firebox, an amazing piece of work by the flour mill at the Forest of Dean. So we're announcing the fact that these models are here today. These are engineering prototypes. The November British Railways announcement from Bachmann will detail the pricing, the liveries that are going to be included in the first production batch. But these models are here today for you to have a look at, and you've got a mixture of plastic and die-cast construction, so die-cast running plate, die-cast boiler and smoke box, die-cast capped floor to try and get that weight balance right that's needed on a 440 design of locomotive in order to make sure we can get decent adhesion and traction. So there you are, the Adams T3 class in 4mm scale, coming out under the EFE Rail brand, designed in conjunction with Kernow Model Rail Centre.
Have you tested them with coaches?
I have indeed, yes.
What sort of quality have you got?
So we've had, we're looking at a number of options with the design, but we've had certainly 4 or 5 coaches, which is happily behind us. So if you've got one of the EFE Rail cross-country sets, for example, the 4-coach sets, it pulls up one of those with ease.
We've got a video of that, which is going live at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. So we'd be looking probably very early next year. Both wheel sets on the front bogie had properly fully lined wheel splashes. They'll be supplied in the accessory bag, because if you wanted to go around second radius, it's impossible in a model to do that with the splashes fitted. So you'll notice the T3 running today only has splashes over the rear driving wheel, and that's because in the early 1900s the splashes were taken off the front wheel sets anyway. So they ran originally with splashes on both, and then the front splashes were taken off and put on the model. Because of the clearances with the cylinders and the valve gear and so forth, there are always compromises that we have to make. But they will be in the accessory bag, they'll be fully decorated and lined to suit the livery of the model.
Well, there we go. Thank you, Graham. And for the steam and smoke still hanging in the air, the rest of the invited guests here of the Bachmann Collectors Club have gone down to the mining museum here at Norden. That is a little 2-foot-gauge train up here at Norden at the mining museum, just like the ones that were actually operating up here just before closure, when this was a feeder to this mainline railway, standard gauge interchange wharf just here. That's long gone, of course, but some of the infrastructure has been restored up at the museum, and very lovely it is too. Anyway, thank you to all at the Bachmann Collectors Club and to Kernow Model Rail Centre for inviting me along. And look out for further announcements of the T3 model coming to a model railway shop online and in person near you very soon.